Welcome to another live presentation. Today I am live. I'm just checking out all my points of reference. Okay, good. Looking good. Just make sure my mic's working. Yep, wonderful. So, I decided to jump in and jump on today, especially because it's Friday the 13th. And it is also a Kadashi, the day of fasting. Now, if you missed it today, you can do it tomorrow. And I thought I should do this video. I've done it a few times. The last time I done it, I had a very terrible cold. And I said to myself, no, it really does need, it does deserve some real attention because it is a big subject. It is such a big subject, understanding everything about the moon. And there's so much to get through and I want to get through it quick. I don't want to hold up too much time. So I'm going to jump straight into the presentation. So let's see if this all is going to work smoothly. Okay, right. Let's dive in. So it's all about the moon. Right now we're having so much terrible weather right across the world. And even if you understood about tidal dispositions, especially at certain times of year, we're coming into a whole new season. And the whole cycle, the whole change, the whole influx of energy, there's always these massive transitions of changes that are happening in the environment. And the number one thing is to not to think that it's just only happening in the environment, but it's not happening within you. It has to be happening within you. You're a small speck of dust within the greatness of the environment, and how the moon plays out on everything. So much undermining of the moon needs to be addressed. So let's dive in. So understanding a Kadashi, today I'm doing the Kadashi, and funnily enough, one of the things that made me decide to do this, I wasn't planning this today, but I got a phone call earlier from a beautiful sister from the group, and she goes, yes, Tarun, I'm doing the, how you feeling? I'm doing good. So, you know, I'm doing the Kadashi. I said, yeah, so am I. Me no eat nothing from morning. I said, neither me. Me just about forgot boil the kettle and drink some water. She goes, what? Me not even put pot on the stove for the day. Nothing got pan, it's nothing. I said, no, it's all right to drink a little warm water. It's fine to drink some water. It's fine, you know. And warming up the water actually helps. Now, I've just done a presentation on hydration. And so this is so befitting to fit this in, to understand the relationship between the moon and water. So that little prompt from that phone call earlier, I said, okay, let me put it out there, because also I have seen the fluctuations within people that happen at this time. It's a cycle that completely, it just keeps going on round and round and round, and people don't notice this in their own lives. This is the funny thing. And again, it's another low-grade threat to the system. It's another low-grade threat overlooking these things. So let's dive in and let's really find out what we're dealing with. So we're dealing with moon cycles, understanding the nature of moon cycles, but first of all, we should understand what is the moon as a whole. So let's look at some basic facts of the moon. First of all, the Earth's constant companion, friend, always there. We look at the sun and say, this is such a great thing that gives life and sustains life and nourishes life. But the truth is, if there wasn't no moon, there would be no life on the planet as we know it. There'd be absolutely no life on the planet without the moon. So the fact that it's the earth's constant companion to keep life and the momentum of life going. It's because if it's just the sun, even in understanding in Ayurvedic or even Vedanta, the idea of worshipping the sun is an extreme level of exactness, because the sun is so scorching, it's so hot, it's so unforgiving, it's just on all the time, it's relentless. And where the moon is there to cool, balance and bring about an equilibrium, the sun doesn't do it on its own. So in the idea of looking at our, if I should say, overindulgence in looking at sun worship, and I'm not saying to do moon worship, either sun or moon, but looking at our overindulgence towards the concept of sun worship, sun worship, sun worship, and completely forget about the moon, why it's there and what it's doing, is a major disposition right there. So the fact that it's Earth's constant companion to make sure that life can actually exist in the first place, that's the moon right there. So, and the other thing is it's its only natural satellite. You have some planets that has up to 79 moons. But the way how this moon is positioned, it's almost like there's even a science of understanding how the distance between the Earth and the moon equates to 108 times the size of the moon, and the same with the sun. 108 times the size of the sun is the distance between the sun and Earth and the moon and Earth. And the moon is just in the right space where it looks like you can touch it, but it's far enough so it's close but far, but just in the right space, consistently, always there. So this is the other thing, it's close enough to matter, to affect the environment, but far enough to not get entangled and pulled into the environment. So it stays in orbit and just affects the environment just right where it is, without Earth's gravitational pull managed to suck it in. Again, without the moon there, the whole thing goes wobbly. It's also a clock in the sky. About every 29.5 days, the moon cycles through a phase. New, waxing, crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full, waning gibbous, last quarter, and waning crescent. But there's a part that matters beyond science. These phases are a public clock in the sky. Even if you never learn the names, you felt the patterns. The moon models something most people forget in daily life. Everything has a cycle. Its growth, its fullness, its release, and its return. And it's not just something just sitting there, but it's affecting all of these things: the growth, the fullness, the release, and the return. The ability to return. Similar like the 4 cycles of the seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter. They all got their same mini cycles of exactly doing the same thing. So let's dive in deeper. The cultural significance. From the earliest human communities, the moon has more than lit the sky. It was the first reliable pattern people could see without tools, appearing, swelling, brightening, thinning, and disappearing on a schedule that didn't need explanation to be trusted. Long before written language, the moon taught rhythm. Not like a drum beat, but rhythm. What eventually was known as the circadian rhythm, which we'll get there shortly. So its changing phases became an instinctive calendar. People learned that darkness would deepen when the nights would be bright enough for travel, hunting, gathering, and protection. Seasons were hard to measure, but the moon offered shorter, repeatable cycles, something the body could remember. A shared sky created things. A shared sky created shared timing, when to meet, when to move, when to prepare. So this is, for instance, the concept of grounding astrology and understanding movements of the earth in position with the moon and the rest of the sky. So if the moon weren't there, they couldn't calculate nothing, because the moon is the thing that's doing the moving to let you know that, okay, we've moved. And again, at night time, you've got dead of night, where there's no moon. And then you've got dead of night, which is full moon. And all of these things across cultures, they knew about how to harvest from when not to harvest, when nights would be colder, when nights would be longer. Across cultures, the moon also became a mirror for human life. It made visible what people were already living through, the growth and the decline, fullness and letting go. Endings that do not mean loss, and absence that does not mean the story's over. The moon's return month after month shaped a deep confidence that change could be survived. And because it watches from above, it became a witness. It saw births, migrations, storms, rituals, and grief. It held a night when fires were the only safety and the horizon was unknown. For early mankind, the moon was orientation, timekeeper, companion, and symbol, quietly teaching that life moves in cycles and that cycles can be trusted. So let me go deeper into that a little bit. There is a concept of understanding the resonance of what we consider these orbiting things in the sky that are moving, the atmosphere, the condition, the environment that we're in, and considering whether these environments has effect on human beings or human consciousness. This is how, again, looking at astrology, is it astronomy? That's the one, astronomy. And even looking at how you look at people's lifestyles and when they were born in relation to the sun and how it affects them, and how Venus affects them, and how this one, Pluto, blah, blah, blah. And at certain times, if the moon is in a particular position, it's known as a retrograde. And what does this retrograde do, not just to the environment, but to human consciousness? How comes the moon is governing all the other principles, or the way how everything else balances out in your system? The moon is playing a major governance over your body, over your whole psyche. And we're going to go deep into this into Ayurveda when we get there. But also, the moon has more accurate history about what's happened on the planet than the planet itself. So it's almost like a data recorder for things that has happened from time immemorial. It's also a testing ground for scientists to understand what could happen in their future days if they wanted to go out further. But we don't want to go too deep in there. But looking at how it affects culturally and how they understood over time that this was a reliable source to measure not only night and day, but seasons, when to hunt, when to harvest, when to plant food. So how the moon shapes life on Earth, it gets even deeper. It moves the oceans. The moon's gravity pulls the seas back and forth, creating tides that constantly reshape coastlines and keep marine life in motion. Right now, most of the coast in Portugal is being beat up and eat out from what's happening with the tides and the waves and so forth. And I see the cycle right through the year because I live close to the sea. I can see the whole pattern from winter, spring, summer, autumn. I can see the moon, how it affects and how volatile the sea is going to react every time this period is coming around. Every month I know how vicious, and depending on how big the moon appears to be, even though it's in exactly the same distance, how big it appears to be, the gravitational pull that it's actually having on the water is tremendous. So it also steadies the planet, the tilt axis that it's got, the planet, to stop the planet drifting or wobbling. It's the moon that's keeping the tilt axis perfect because of its gravitational pull. It's keeping it in its right, perfect place. So the moon is responsible, even though you're seeing the tides and the waves and the this and that, it's actually trying to keep the planet steady. So the moon helps to keep Earth's tilt relatively stable. That stability supports consistent seasons and a climate that doesn't swing into chaos over time. It sets biological timing. For many species, the moon acts like a natural signal. Coral, fishes, turtles, and other animals sync breeding, migration, and feeding with lunar phases. It drives coastal ecosystems. Tides don't just move water, they move nutrients. That cycling feeds shorelines, wetlands, influencing what grows where and which species thrive. It subtly touches the air. The moon also creates small tides in the atmosphere. These effects are minor compared to day-by-day weather forces, but they're part of the planet's wider rhythm. It shapes human patterns and survival. Before modern forecasting, people used the moon to plan planting, harvesting, navigation, and fishing. It was environmental knowledge written in the sky. It changes the night itself. Moonlight alters what happens after dark. Many animals shift movement, hunting, and mating patterns based on how bright the night is, changing biodiversity in real time. So you can see it's got a very profound effect on the whole ecosystem of life on Earth. Looking back into Bantu times, and I like to bring it all the way back to first civilizations and then bring it up to current modern understandings, because this is what's happened with knowledge over time. It's not just one knowledge that is right. Knowledge has been procured, curated, nurtured, and so forth, and kept alive in some scenarios. And it's about looking into these pockets of knowledge to enrich a diverse understanding of the subjects that we're dealing with. So looking at the history of the Bantu, they were extremely extremely spiritual, and they understood the nature of all the elements and how the sun and the moon and water, again, that concept of beginning, fullness, letting go and return, that was a part and parcel of their whole blueprint of philosophy. The relationship between ancient Bantu cultures and the moon is rich and diverse, reflecting the blend of mythology, agriculture and social practices. Here are some of the key points regarding the history and significance of the moon in ancient Bantu societies. Mythology and cosmology. Many Bantu-speaking communities have myths and legends that feature the moon as a significant celestial body. The moon is often personified and linked to various deities or ancestral spirits, playing a role in creation myths and moral tales. Lunar phases and agriculture. The Bantu people traditionally relied on agriculture, and the lunar calendar was crucial for planting and harvesting crops. The lunar calendar, as we know, has stood the test of time and still been used in certain countries like Ethiopia, India, certain parts of India, especially those that are still on the Vedantic understanding or under that framework. So the Bantu people traditionally relied on agriculture, and the lunar calendar was crucial for planting and harvesting crops. The phases of the moon were used to determine the best times for farming activities such as planting seeds or harvesting, not the sun, the moon. So cultural practices. The moon influenced various cultures, cultural rituals and ceremonies. For example, some communities held specific rituals during full moons or new moons, believing these phases were auspicious for certain activities such as marriage or community gatherings. Timekeeping. The moon served as a natural timekeeping system. Many Bantu societies used lunar calendars to track time, organizing their lives around the cycle of the moon rather than a solar calendar. Now, I broke down the concept of the solar calendar when I done 12 Days of Consciousness, and it was quite a brutal one, but we don't have time to actually touch that right now. Why everything was moved from 13 to 12. And 13 was then deemed unlucky, but not today. Let's stick on track with the moon. So, fasting and the moon, fasting in particular, was often practiced during certain lunar phases such as new moon and full moon as part of spiritual and communal rituals. These practices varied among different Bantu groups, influenced by local customs, beliefs, and the specific context of the fast. Art and symbolism. The moon appears in various forms in Bantu art, including carvings, textiles, and oral literature, symbolizing fertility, renewal, and the cyclical nature of life. So all the way back then, they cottoned on. So even if we go to pre-Bantu tribes who honored the moon, many of the ancient tribes in Africa, including the San people, Pygmy groups, Nilotic peoples, and Herbers, have traditionally observed lunar cycles. Here's how they typically incorporated the moon into their cultural practices. San people, Bushmen. The San have a deep understanding of their environment, including celestial bodies. They have traditionally used the moon's phases to guide their hunting and gathering activities, as well as to plan rituals and ceremonies. Pygmy groups, pygmy communities such as the Mutubi, have aligned their cultural practices with lunar calendar. They have observed the moon's phases for timing, rituals, hunting, and you know what, I don't even know if I got that word right, but the Pygmy group Let's just go with that. I have to get my pronunciation, my African pronunciation on point. But yeah, hunting and gathering, as well as for social gatherings and storytelling. The Nilotic peoples, again, groups of Dinka and Ura, lunar cycles are significant for agricultural activities, social events and rituals. The moon plays a role in planning for planting and harvesting, as well as in ceremonies related to fertility and community life. So there you can see there's a trend. Berber people, religious observations and cultural festivals. There's a trend that you can see is not just one set of people. It's something that's part of our human history, and we've lost that grip, we've lost touch with being actually human. This is the big problem with the whole thing. We've lost touch with what it means to be human, humane, and lost the sense of how to nurture our beings. We got too much into nurturing our doings and lost sight in nurturing our beings. Again, in ancient Kemet, Egypt, the lunar calendar also played a significant role in religious and agricultural practices. The people of Kemet observed various festivals and rituals based on the lunar phases, including fasting and offerings to deities. I'm reading fast because there's so much to get through and there's some sweet spots to hit. I'm just dropping the history so we can get through it fast. Just cotton on to the idea of the importance of lunar phases, the lunar calendar, beginning, fullness, release, let go, release, and return. All these cultures understood that. They practiced that. They lived it. Lunar, so again, in Kemet, it was about the lunar calendar, not the solar calendar. The solar calendar was later introduced as Kemet. The multicultural aspects of Kemet start to come into play. Put this on silence. Fasting and rituals. Certain periods, especially during specific lunar phases such as new moon, were times for reflecting and fasting. This was often associated with purification rituals and spiritual renewal. Deity associations. Now, even today, in an understanding the Kadashi, in the Vedantic framework, there are so many quote-unquote deities. You can do a Kadashi for Shiva, you can do a Kadashi for Ganesh, you can do a Kadashi for Krishna, you can do a Kadashi for all different concepts. So how this Kadashi or these fasting principles works is it's understanding how to awaken an aspect of divinity within yourself. Let's go there first. Now, you have to be able to stabilize yourself to recognize your own divinity. And then you anchor it to something, because you didn't give it to you, that's for sure. But the ability to anchor to your own divinity is the first step. You need a process to understand and resonate in your own divinity and own it and claim it and be it. And understand what that is. And it's a process of purification. So you're not entrenched in the concept of experiences and the things that are drawing you into more and more concepts of experiences. And in this space of experiences, there's no stability. There's hell out there. There's torrential rain, there's everything going on, and there's you thinking that you're not going to get affected. The beauty of a lot of these ancient civilizations is that they learn from nature. They learn from the environment. They even learn from animals. They learn. We're learning from Google. We're learning from technology. We're learning from hearsay. We're learning from peer pressure. In ancient times, they knew that they were the labs. The mind was the lab. The experience was the laboratory. In the Western concept, it's the mobile phone, it's the gadget, it's everything else but you. In the Western world, we're so over-dependent on crutches to get us through, and we don't realize if we just obeyed nature in certain scenarios, we won't need the crutches. And this is what we're kind of getting to. Previous civilizations knew this. You have to work with what is. Sometimes it's the easiest way to go. So now we're going to look at how it's viewed in Vedanta. In the sacred Vedas and the ancient science of Ayurveda, the holistic approach to wellness or well-being encompasses of various aspects of the individual's life. Here is a list of the areas of well-being that the Vedas and Ayurveda address: physical health, mental health, emotional balance, spiritual growth, and social harmony. I'm just flashing through because there's more to come, but I'm just giving you a whole thing of, because most of the times when we talk about Vedanta and Ayurveda, some people might think it's just all of this woo-woo stuff. But what they completely fail to overlook, because of a fear of not understanding the unknown, is that there is an exact science to the whole thing, which you can corroborate with the sciences that you know and the sciences of old. And you can see that there is a corroboration of knowledge. And once you understand what the quote-unquote esoteric path is to come outside of outside of cultural reference, and work with universal principles that work with not just me but for everyone else on the planet, now you're closer to a truth. So this is how Ayurveda and Vedanta structures its philosophy and knowledge. So it's not just about soul stuff. It's physical health, it's mental health, it's emotional balance, it's spiritual growth, it's social harmony. What else is there? There's more. It's environmental balance, it's occupational wellness, it's financial stability, it's intellectual growth, and holistic lifestyle. The Vedas and Ayurveda advocate for a balanced lifestyle that integrates physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all aspects of life for optimum health and vitality. Now, I didn't want to read through them because there's going to be a whole heap, but you can come back to the video and check, and also do your research to see how Vedanta and Ayurveda supports these principles and what they bring to the table for understanding and enriching in your life. So let's stick to the moon, but just to give you the overview. So according to Ayurveda, in Ayurveda, the moon isn't treated as a distant scenery. It's not just sitting there. It's treated as a living influence on the body and mind, and a force that cools, softens, and restores. Vedic teachings describe lunar energy as nourishing. It feeds, calms, steadies emotions, and supports mental clarity. The moon is linked with soma, the principle of nourishment and subtle vitality. Soma governs how we receive life, our emotional resilience, our sense of being replenished, and the quality of our inner quietness, our quietude. In Vedanta, it's considered that the moon is directly responsible for how consciousness plays out on the mind. There's a direct correlation with how the moon plays out on the mind and how consciousness relates to this realm and the three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. We're getting there. When soma is strong, the mind feels clear and settled. When it's depleted, people often feel dry, reactive, restless, or emotionally underfed. Emotionally underfed. And the moon's phases aren't just a sky event in this view. They are literally a rhythm the body can sync to. As the moon waves and wanes, Ayurveda suggests that our internal tides shift too. Our mood, our energy, our sleep pattern, and sensitivity can all change in response. So as this is happening within you, and your ability to effectively control this wave is going to be dependent on how effective and how you process communication. So, for instance, when soma is strong and the mind is balanced, this is so intricate in breaking down, in trying to understand soma. It's a word that, okay, what's soma, brother Tarun? Like, we're talking about a word we don't really think, we've never heard of this word. You're just talking about a word random. I want to bring some grounding to it. Let's talk about, if we bring it back to water. I need a little bit of water myself. Last drop in the cup. I'll get some in a minute. Water is the thing that is responsible for creating electric current in your body. Water is the thing that is responsible for the physical self to communicate to the non-physical self. It's that thing, it's the instrument, it's the energy, the actual tool of vehicle of information carrier. That's why they say the brain needs 80% water. Now this water, this energy that is created from water, when the hydrogen gets into your body, it's no longer this liquid that you're just pouring into a glass. It's now changed its structure, and it's now, the hydrogen is now representing itself as power. And this power is either regulated or unregulated. If it's regulated, it forms a pattern that we can say this pattern now is called soma. It's balanced, it's regulated, which can now feed the system and the mind and the brain. Some call it chi, some call it prana, some call it whatever. The life force that aligns when you breathe, and all the faculties turn on and switches on and ting, 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 ting. That's considered soma. That effect starts with water transforming, creating the energy to allow thought to come into play. When water's depleted, you can't even create this soma thing. This is why hydration is really important. Even outside of just getting the hydration in, there's now regulating that energy that the water is creating. If you're not regulating it, it's going to regulate you or dysregulate you. The moon having the effect on that energy when it's not, when it's in a maleficent space, and we'll get to that. And understanding why fasting is important. Fasting is important. That energy that needs to be regulated within you is now this process of what you're going to call discipline, what you call, some call it rituals, some call it fasting. But literally what you're doing is aligning. You're aligning yourself with how nature works. So everything can flow, regulated properly. So moods can be chosen, not just a byproduct of. Energy can be regulated. Sleep can be, again, chosen instead of insomnia. And sensitivity to responses. All right, when soma is low, when the energy isn't down and the brain can't function properly, on a full moon, you feel like you want to kill everybody. When there's no moon in the sky, you feel so depressed. You feel like, oh, nobody really did this. It's me in the world. I don't think my life is... And this is because, A, you haven't got the energy of... dehydration amplifies all of that. And B, regulation. The regulation of that energy. So Ayurveda looks at regulating that energy within you, which you are made up of 70 to 80% water. And you can't do it just by yourself. You have to pay attention to what's happening in the environment. If it's summer, you have to drink more. So forth. Let's go deeper. So again, when the principles of Ayurveda come into play, it's not just looking at the moon. There's also the sun and looking at how these elements are actually within us. The sun and moon are principles that are operating within us, known as Pingala for the sun and Ida for the moon. So when the sun aspect of us is turned on, we'll display certain attributes. When the moon aspect is turned on, a different set of attributes will come forth. And this is not just only in our character or our way of being. This is on a very deep unconscious level that is regulating our systems, again, in the autonomic sense of our being. It's regulating our system. It's telling us when the body needs to turn up. Again, if you're hydrated, your system will let you know when your body needs to turn up, when it needs to cool down. It will take control of it. No hydration, it can't do it. Everything starts to suffer. And again, not just what's happening internally, your system is also affected by what's happening in the environment, which we have to be mindful of, especially the cycle of the moon. So understanding that whatever's in the external world is also within us. We have the sun principles, we have the moon principles, and these two things are what are governing a equilibrium, a balance within our being. How do we achieve this stillness? Not just every now and then, but a consistency of it. So in this consistency of stillness, we can be stable. And in this consistency of stable, we can take time, creep up. Instead of going up, down, up, down, up, down. I just can't get over. Up, down, down, up, down. Oh, I can't get over this. I can't get over that. And sometimes it's just not looking at the rhythm of what is actually happening within our own state and our own being. And how that plays out. Sometimes you get a day, you just get up in a mood and you just don't know why. You just don't feel. Some days you get up and you feel like you want to eat the whole world out. That day there, I suggest you look up at the moon, because that day there is normally the day of either Ekadashi or the day before. And sometimes on the day of Ekadashi itself, this is when you get this, because you're already stuck in this groove of ignoring, letting go, so you can replenish and come back. Now you ain't got time to let go of this busy life, this modern life. Now you got time to stop and replenish and let go of. Now I need to keep moving. I need to keep piling in the junk. I need to keep piling in the toxins. I need to keep up this low grade threat. I've got to keep moving. One day and it's just building up and it's just building up, and this cycle. And the drama is this: the more that you keep ignoring this, the more that you keep ignoring this pattern. Let's say, for instance, you ignore an issue that you know you have to pass every week. I'm creating a scenario. You're passing an issue, and this issue, in the first instance, it's a small one. It's just, but the issue starts to grow. It starts to grow. It starts to grow, and you can see the issue growing. And he said, "Boy, I'm gonna have to deal with that one day. You know, I'm gonna have to deal with that." And the more that you're contemplating dealing with it, you're now finding that you're spending more time contemplating how you're gonna deal with this issue. And it's getting bigger, and you're still not dealing with it. You're just contemplating how you're going to deal with it, and you're spending more time in contemplating how to deal with it rather than just dealing with it. Well, what's happening with the body and all of this, the longer time that you take to actually deal with it, scientifically I'm talking about here. Let's just say you get stuck in a pattern of just not dealing with it. Forget it, I'm not doing no moon fast, I'm just working with whatever, and you just ignore Ekadashi. The long-term effects is that you only get 3 days relief out of every 15 days. That's 3 days relief from constipation. That's 3 days relief from bad moods. That's 3 days relief from feeling disconnected. That's 3 days relief from a sense of worthiness. 3 days relief from not accepting your worth loving. This thing is actually so deep. It affects not just the physical body, not just the physiological body, but also the mental faculties of what's going on. And again, I've done the series on making a champion. If you're not in the space of not understanding that you're not your body, then you're not going to believe that you're not your mind and you're not your intelligence. And if all of these things are going through toxic cycles, and you never get addressed to purify the cycles so everything can run smooth, these toxic cycles now take on the form of your character and your personality, and you start to believe that you're it. So you start to drench into this concept of staccatus of being. You calcify. So when we're talking of fasting isn't just about stopping from putting food in your mouth. That's just the first level. It's teaching you how to stop being engaged and learn how to observe and come back to your divine point of witnessing in a peaceful, non-judgmental way. So Pingala is the solar current, heat, drive, precision, outward motion. It's the point of view built to act, focus, decide, compete, push through. When Pingala is leading, you feel switched on, productive, directed, sharp. When it dominates for too long, the nervous system overheats, sleep gets thin, and the mind gets loud. Emotions get edgy, digestion gets reactive. What we call burnout often looks like chronic solar mode with no true cooling cycle. Ida is the lunar current, coolness, receptivity, inward repair, intuition. It's the part of you built to restore, digest experiences, settle emotions, replenish clarity. When Ida is strong, you feel grounded and nourished. When Ida is underfed, you can still function, but it costs you more. You become dry, restless, reactive, and mentally scattered. Here's the provocative point. Modern life rewards Pingala and neglects Ida. Modern life rewards activity and neglects nourishment in solitude. We train the system to sprint and then wonder why it can't recover. Yoga treats the balance of these currents as practical physiology. Breath, attention, and rhythm become the switches. When Pingala and Ida stop competing and start cooperating, something else appears. Steady energy, clear perception, and a calm that isn't passive. And what I call dynamic stillness. So I can feel my throat starting to rustle. I want to grab some water. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a 30-second break. And I'm going to play a little bit of music. Good. Right, just give me a second. Beautiful. Let's dive back in. So this is a mantra from Vedantic teachings. This is a sloka. And I'm just going to jump into the transliteration, what it means. The moon was born from the mind. The sun was born from the eyes. From the face arose Indra, the king of the gods, and fire, and from the breath came the wind. Explanation. Chandrama refers to the moon, symbolizing the mind or consciousness. So that point where I was making, where consciousness and the mind and how it reflects information towards the senses in this realm. And the moon has a very strong correlation. Everybody must have heard of the werewolf. 3 days before full moon, you see he gets this twitch. 2 days before full moon, 1 day before full moon, full moon, it busts out, everything is all let go. He don't even know himself, he's gone. The whole animal comes out. And it takes him time to recover. It takes him a few days to just let the whole thing go. So this werewolf film concept is actually depicting what's happening with human psyche and how the moon affects the mind till it can pull you out of sync, till you don't know yourself. Especially if you're not regulating the current that is making the mind operable in the first place. You got to regulate the thing that's feeding the mind to become alive. So in Vedanta, it is viewed as symbiotic. When we talk about the moon, mind, consciousness, one thing. How they all play out. Manasajata indicates that the moon is born from the mind. Not the mind born from the moon, but the moon is born from the mind. Think about that. Just think about that for a minute. In other words, there's a deep esoteric understanding of how consciousness plays out in this realm. If we don't see it, it's not relative. Our experience of life is what counts most, because if you don't witness it, then you're not alive, you're not here. And the ability to function, like I said, for life to happen on this planet, and how oxygen works with the body, how the whole biological functioning of the body works, is so dependent on the moon. Our cycles, our ability to feel like doing something or not doing by something. The moon, that influences the fact that you want to experience something or not, is so significant and overlooked. The ability for the moon to, again, once stabilized, to give you the ability to reflect and see your divine self, or be in alignment with your divine self, having both sun and moon principles balanced. Inner observation of these external celestial bodies. So when we say everything in the external world is same within, microcosmic, macrocosmic, it's all playing a significant part on how we function. The process of thinking, thoughts. So in modern scientific terms, we can draw parallels between the ancient yogic concept of Ida and Pingala and the autonomic nervous system in biology. Ida Nada, often associated with the left side of the body, and the cooling, calming lunar energy can be linked to the parasympathetic nervous system. This system is responsible for rest and digestion functions, promoting relaxation, lowering heart rate, and aiding in digestion. It corresponds to a state of restfulness, receptivity, and introspection. On the other hand, Pingala Nadi, linked to the right side of the body, and the energizing, warming solar energy can be compared to the sympathetic nervous system. This system is responsible for the fight or flight response, increasing heart rate, dilating pupils, and redirecting blood flows to muscles. It corresponds to a state of alertness, action, and outward focus. So that thing where you're engaging, that's your solar energy coming into play. But if you don't balance that, bring it back, rain it down. That solar energy, that's, again, feeding the senses, feeding the mind. The mind is attracted to wanting to hoard experiences. Give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. And if you don't stop that, slow that down, that principle of all the senses just keep galloping through life, the whole aspect of your Pingala Nadi or your solar energy just consistently on burning, burnout, consumption, process. You're not ever stopping to do an MOT check. Clear out the garbage. Change the tires. Whatever. You're not doing that for your vehicle, especially your mind. Because once you've lost faculty of the mind at a certain point, it's like a Kaddishi is that open window that says, you're going to take control now? Take control now. Take control now, because you taking control now means the effect is you'll have control. But sometimes I think I was watching something to do with something silly again. I think I mentioned this before, dog training. If you don't snap the dog in time out of its mindset of wanting to get vicious, once it gets vicious, you can't stop it. Like a pit bull. When you're training a pit bull, if you see the dog lock eyes onto another dog or something, you got to pull the collar and jerk it like, yo, come out of that fears there. We are watch them for. Stop that. You know, I walk, me take you out for walk. Me not take you out for kill nothing. And the thing is, people go, yes, you know, they leave the dog. They leave the dog. Yeah, the dog loves me. It's just what's trying to protect me. It's just trying to protect me. The same, because you're not training that same dog will turn around and kill your child. Because it's an instinct within it that it can't help itself. This is the difference between animals and humans. Humans have evolved to the ability to control their impulses, or should be able to. If you don't control the dog's impulse, that dog is going to do damage, and it's not going to stop until it finishes its mission. Such is a Kaddishi, that if you don't take control at the time when you're supposed to take control, everything will go wrong way. Everything gone. That's the dangerous bit. So if you don't take control of that Ida energy, that bring that into play, and you just there. If you don't bring that into control, like, yeah, stop, wait a minute, stop. We've reached that point where that cycle is now demanding. We've returned, we've begun. We've reached the fullness. Now we've got to empty. We have to empty. The system has to empty. The mind has to empty. The habits of being has to empty. The process of what we put into our bodies, into our minds, into our energetic vortex has to empty. So it can come back round fresh again and more powerful. And this is what, so we'll get there. In the realm of modern science, the connection between the mind and body in the manifestation of illnesses is often explored through the field of psychoneuroimmunology. This interdisciplinary field studies how psychological factors such as stress, emotions, and thought patterns can influence the nerves and immune system, ultimately impacting physical health. Research in psychoneuroimmunology suggests that chronic stress, negative emotions, and maladaptive thought patterns can weaken the immune system, making the body more susceptible to various diseases and disorders. For instance, prolonged stress can lead to the dysregulation of immune responses, inflammation, and hormonal imbalances. By the way, once it's gone bad, you can't even get it to stop doing what it's doing. It's that thing that's out of control now, which are associated with conditions like cardiovascular disease and autoimmune disorders and mental health issues. Ayurveda recognizes that patterns of illnesses that are of a low-grade threat starts with the process of thinking. You've also got to detox the process of thinking. You have to detox the effects of what that thinking is causing. You have to detox from the effects of what habits that thinking was having you engaged in. It's a whole detox, letting go. This all relates to the functionality of the root chakra. You got four principles of bliss to nurture within you: highest bliss, innate bliss, heroic bliss, bliss of union. Breaking them down quickly: Parananda bliss, that's the highest. That's understanding. I'm going to put it into layman's terms. You got four concepts of a sense of notion of how you should be. And if any of these four pillars are short, your process of activity is suffering. It needs checking. So the four things is, first one is that you have to be happy with being you. Yeah? You have to be happy with your environment. You have to be happy with the process of growth within your environment. You have to be happy with how you connect with everybody in your process of growth within your environment, including yourself. And this is the highest bliss, innate bliss, heroic bliss. You felt like you're growing, and that process of uniting, unification, it's all balanced. But the parts of where you need to take care of how you feel for you, that's not subjugated to outside forces. That's, you have to do that. You have to regulate that. And with the root chakra particularly, these are the things that you have to feel good about yourself. I trust myself. I love life. I am grateful. I feel safe. I am secured. I am grounded. I'm stable. I am loved. I trust life. I am confident. I love my body. I am abundant. I am confident. I am successful. I am in control. I am protected. I am courageous. I am prosperous. I love my life. I am nourished. I am awake. I am wealthy. I am strong. I am stable. Now, these are the resonances that you have to establish within yourself so you can create a knowing of sensing of your divine self and your relationship with divinity itself. So in other words, you can't love God until you've loved these aspects of you. You don't know how it feels. You have no process of stabilizing these states within you. Every time you break that opportunity to reset an overall tone of being, that this comes about, that you feel this resonance, then you're forever plundering yourself in this vicious cycle that doesn't allow you to feel this. So your whole internal environment, I'm making the link, don't worry. Your whole internal is affected by the instability of these four pillars within you, which are affected by the instability of the energies flowing within you. So in ancient Vedic teachings, the flow of energy in Ida Nadi is closely intertwined with the natural rhythms of the body, the internal thought process of the mind, and the external environment. This is again the Ida Nadi, the mind, the cooling aspect, the internal thought processing of the mind. A disrupted circadian rhythm which regulates the body's internal clock and sleep-wake cycle will impact the flow of energy in Ida Nadi and disturb the overall balance of the subtle energy channels throughout the entire system, causing havoc from the world of thought to the world of action. So when the moon principle is out within you, and when it's not regulated, and there's a big moon right there telling you how to regulate, when to regulate, and you're completely ignoring it, your thinking process directly gets affected. You don't even know it, and you think it's you. No, it's because you didn't grab hold of the reins. An altered circadian rhythm will disturb the natural ebb and flow of energy in Ida Nadi, the energy that gives you the ability to think, including water, potentially causing fluctuations in mood, energy levels, and mental clarity. Disrupted sleep patterns and irregular daily routines can hinder the body's ability to rest and rejuvenate, impacting the overall balance of energy channels, including Ida Nadi, the mind. So we're ramping with that other concept that I was bringing to the table of understanding the natural circadian rhythm of the body, the natural circadian rhythm of the environment. In Vedic tradition, the moon exerts a profound influence on the subtle energies of the earth and all living beings. Aligned with the feminine energy, intuition, and cooling aspects of the mind, the moon cycles directly impact the flow of energy in Ida and the parasympathetic nervous system of the body. So when that is out, your intuition is out. The waxing and waning phases of the moon distinctly regulate the ebb and flow of energy in Ida Nadi. Let me just say, the ebb and flow of energy in the ability to think clearly, significantly affecting emotional states, mental clarity, and overall well-being. During the full moon, energy levels are heightened, emotions intensify and external triggers are more sensitized. So again, like I said, when it's full moon, it's everything out there is fault, apart from your ability to regulate your own energy. Everything, you're oversensitized to the drama. That werewolf thing, you're getting drawn out. Full moon. New moon, it works the total opposite. You get pulled into a dark space of, why is this happening to me? Oh, what am I going to do now? Oh, I need to get over this. And then outside of that, there's 11 days of constipation to go with it, because you've totally disregarded the whole pattern to what your whole system is screaming out. Please, I need a break so I can let go of the toxins, not just from a mental level, but through the whole entire system. So, just like how the moon is moving things around, the tidal waves, moving biosystems, moving this, it's moving things within you, but you're being stubborn and want to hold on to it. And not only just hold on to it, you want to pack more stuff on top of it. So now it's double heavy. So the moon's gravitational force influences the tides of the oceans and subtle effects of the fluids within the human body, including blood and lymph. This lunar connection to the body fluids directly impacts the flow of energy in the mind, the ability to think correctly or not, regulating emotions, intuition, or the lack of it, and receptivity in the mind. This is the moon affecting the ability to think and what happens with the process of thought, because it's dysregulated. And the problem is, once you hit this vicious cycle, this is the problem. It turns a cycle that you can't stop, because you sense a concept of purposelessness within it. And in this purposelessness, you embrace the concept of nothingness. And purposelessness, oh my God. It feeds paralysis. It feeds excuses. It feeds negativity. It just keeps going round, it keeps going round. And this becomes an identity, because the mind is trapped in this loop. And because like I said, the key thing to even be able to control the mind, you have to drink water. The intelligence needs water more than the mind. Your ability to take control of your intelligence, to take control of your mind, is dependent on water. Strange, isn't it? If there's no water, the brain can't function properly. If the brain can't function properly, it's going to jump into autopilot survival mode. Mind, just do whatever you want. It's cool. Just run the show. Just let me survive till next week. Even if you do a terrible job, it's all right. I'm used to the pattern. So to be able to pull it back and go, right, I need to break this pattern and sense a whole new sense of being, so I can sense what they talk about, this divine thing. What does it actually feel like? What is the opposite of a fair cycle? And from when, it's funny, from the day I've taught people about Ekadashi, anyone that's taken it seriously, they've never stopped. They get it quick. They get it. And they can see the effect of it on other people who don't do it. But they're not willing to sell that feeling up and say, okay, boy, that's just allowing problems to live in my head rent free. I'm not willing to do that. So everything around us influences our world. Everything around us shapes how we feel inside. The sun's warmth, a beautiful sky, a stroll in the forest, or a swim in the sea can spark energy and joy within our bodies. But not all of nature is good for us. While we cherish many of its gifts, some elements can be harmful. Understanding this balance is crucial for nurturing our health and happiness. In Vedic tradition, it is taught that the moon emits a subtle frequency that resonates with the frequencies of the conscious and subconscious mind. This lunar frequency directly influences thoughts, emotions, and states of consciousness, shaping individuals' inner experiences and perceptions of reality. The conscious mind, linked to rational thinking and awareness, interacts directly with the moon's frequency, impacting conscious thoughts, moods, fluctuations, and mental clarity. This subconscious mind, operating beneath awareness and holding deep-seated beliefs and emotions, is intrinsically connected to the moon's frequency, affecting subconscious patterns, emotional wounds, and hidden desires. So when the moon is drawing out tides, what do you think it's drawing out of you? While the moon's influence can be nurturing, there are malefic effects when its energy is imbalanced. Excessive lunar energy can lead to mood swings, emotional instability, and irrational behavior, disrupting mental well-being and clarity of thought. Individual sensitivity to the moon's energy may experience heightened emotional reactivity, anxiety, and confusion during specific lunar phases. This malefic impact normally distributes the mind's equilibrium, challenging inner peace, mental stability, and spiritual harmony. It's getting deep. I'm reading it fast because there's so much to observe. What is that telling us? In Ayurveda, the understanding of the human body is deeply interconnected with the natural elements, including water and celestial bodies like the moon. Here's how the moon is regarded to influence various systems within the body. Water in the body. Ayurveda describes a network of channels through which bodily fluids move. Water is essential for maintaining the balance of these fluids, including overall health and vitality. Dosha balance. The body's water content is primarily associated with the kapha dosha, which governs structure, lubrication, and nourishment. A balanced kapha promotes hydration and stability. The parasympathetic nervous system, relaxation and digestion. Ayurveda emphasizes the importance of the parasympathetic nervous system for rest and digestion, often referred to as rest and digest. It is believed that the calming energy of the moon, particularly during the new moon and specific lunar phases, can enhance this state. Rituals and practices. Engaging in calming practices like meditation, yoga, or herbal teas during a certain lunar phase is recommended to promote relaxation and support the parasympathetic system. Again, more stuff. Immune system, Agni, big one. Fire, digestion. Not just digestion that Agni is responsible for. For the senses to promote information. I just touched this. I can see that. I could smell that. These are all forms of digesting information, knowledge, which is all key to the amount of energy that you have the ability to process this information. And this is the Agni, the spark of consciousness, the life-giving energy of the body, that what's feeding that's what's known as Agni. So Agni, digestive system. The immune system in Ayurveda is closely linked to the fire or digestive fire. A strong Agni supports immunal and overall health. The moon cycles influence Agni, with the new moon being at a time of focus to detoxification and strengthening the digestive system. Seasonal changes. Ayurveda also considers seasonal variations and how the moon affects these changes. So that was the big one right there. The moon's cycles influence Agni, the fire of digestion, with the new moon being a time to focus on detoxification and strengthening the digestive system. So it's not just the new moon, it's actually both, but the new moon has very profound effects, because it's about emptiness. Empty out, drop out, let everything come out, fast, stop, let everything stop. So the digestive system, digestive rhythm, the moon's phases can affect digestive rhythms. The new moon is thought to be a time for cleansing and gentle digestion, while the full moon may stimulate appetite and metabolize metabolic processes. Emotional and psychological effects. Mind-body connection. Ayurveda recognizes the influence of emotions and physical health. The moon is known to affect direct mood and emotional states, impacting balance and balance of the doshas, which is your body type. We're not going to get into that too deep, but you've got different types, Kata, Vata and Pitta, depending. Pitta, they're more slim type people, they're more visually based. Kapha is more heavy set. Now, Kapha is in between and Pitta is heavy set. So it just depends on your build, your mood, and how the whole system is regulated around your makeup. And ultimately, understanding the connection between the moon and you and what the moon is doing at times, this is where understanding the circadian rhythm of not just the day, but the month, the year, the whole thing, understanding the environment that you are in, why daytime is daytime and why nighttime is nighttime. Now, if there's already a pandemic on sleep, people not respecting sleep patterns and so forth, how are they going to respect the moon? And the thing is, when it comes down to understanding rhythms, if you don't get the rhythm of day and night, you get your 7 hours sleep and so forth. If you don't get that rhythm right, you're going to be a walking state. But the bigger one that you're overlooking is the moon. That's the one that's governing even the day and night, because daytime is daytime and nighttime is nighttime. But the 29.5 days cycle has a bigger effect on you that you're not even observing or knowing. Like, if you sort out that bigger cycle, because that the day one and nighttime is just a little one, and that's just going around like this. Little one that's going round and round and round and round and round and round. But you have to now observe what's happening in those little mini cycles. No, on the big, forget the mini day-night, what's happening on the big cycle? How can you break that pattern and set that rhythm right? So then you're not spiraling down, you're spiraling up. And that's what's the real thing about understanding circadian rhythms and biological rhythms and cycles. How do you work with a cycle that it benefits you? And the problem with the Western culture per se is you think of the processes of the cycle. You got the beginning, you got the fullness, and then you got the empty. Nobody don't want to empty. Everybody wants to stay full. Everybody just wants to stay full up. And that's the issue right there. So the human, the moon biological rhythm and the cycle principles, human physiology runs on rhythm. The most obvious rhythm is the circadian cycle, roughly 24 hours, governing sleep, wakefulness, hormones, digestion, temperature, mood, and cognitive appearance, cognitive performance. When that rhythm is stable, the body repairs effectively and the mind is clearer. When it is disrupted, everything becomes noisier, cravings increase, sleep fragments and emotions sharpen, and willpower drops. Above the daily rhythm sits a broader environmental rhythm, the lunar cycle, about 29.5 days. The moon changes the night itself, light and gravitational pull. So the quality of light at night and the gravitational pull, all of it is changing and rotating over those 29.5 days. And with every position, it's having an effect on you. So above the daily rhythms sits a broader environmental rhythm. The moon changes the night itself, and living systems respond. Tides rise and fall. Animals time reproduction and movement, and human beings often notice shift in sleep sensitivity and emotional tone around key points in the month. Whether someone explains that spiritually or biologically, the observation is consistent. The environment has cycles and the body has cycles, and they can either cooperate or clash. This is the core principle. Stability isn't only a daily practice, it's a cyclical practice. The healthy system doesn't just perform every day, it also builds, peaks, releases, and resets on schedule. The moon provides us a visible template for that. Increase and fullness, then decrease and clearing. When people ignore cyclical resets, the cost is gradual, accumulative, overstimulation, and a loss of inner timing. When people honor resets, the system stays lighter, clearer, and more self-governed. Big difference. And you can sense it from the first day you try it, the first time you try it. And you go, oh, you know what, I actually feel good, and I can actually see everybody else not feeling so good. I'm going to keep this up. I'm going to actually keep this up. So the moon exerts a powerful gravitational pull on Earth, primarily influencing the oceans and creating tidal movements. As the moon orbits our planet, its gravitational causes water to bulge outwards, resulting in high tides on the side facing the moon and corresponding high tide on the opposite side. So again, at this time of year, coming out of winter into spring, and why you see so much mayhem, generational floods around the place, it's a pattern of change, of transition. And the living Earth as it is doing what it needs to do to shape, detoxify, reshape, so consistency continue. After the flood, there will be a calm. After the storm, there will be a calm. After the calm, there will be a storm. It's a cycle. But how can do we have to go with that as beings? No. That's the difference. We're not just a thing. So to reach the point of evolution where we are actually a human being, a being that is human enough to have a mind to figure out, okay, I have a choice here. Do I go with going against the grain, or go with going with the flow of what nature has predicted? So if you find out that when you follow and obey what's natural, and you follow that process, while everything is doing this outside, you're calm as a cucumber. You're happy as... Nobody can't even get you into no state like they're in. You could be even in arguments and they're all flustered, and you can't even see what... You can't even get flustered like them. And they're out of whack. I see it all the time. Every 2 weeks I see it. The nature of arguments, the stubbornness of people, the imploding, or the exploding. So Akadashi, a term derived from Sanskrit, consists of two parts, eka, meaning one, and dashi, meaning 10th. Therefore, Akadashi translates to the 11th in English. This name signifies the observance of fasting and spiritual practice on the 11th day of each lunar fortnight, both in the waxing and waning of the moon as per the Vedic tradition and as per the lunar calendar, and as per understanding with the circadian rhythm, when to let go, when to stop, when to reflect back and own back your divine state of being. So missing Akadashi is not a minor detail. A lot of words there, I'm going to read through it fast. It removes a built-in reset that keeps the body steady, the mind quieter, and your inner direction consistent. If someone is trying to heal, regulate their nervous system and build real stability, Akadashi functions like a twice monthly alignment day. Without it, low-grade drift tends to accumulate. Detriments of missing Akadashi, physiologically and psychologically. Here we go. First one, digestive load stays high. Akadashi is designed as a predictable downshift for the digestive system. When it's missed, the body carries the same metabolic demand through a day that's meant to be lighter. Common outcomes: heaviness, bloating, sluggishness, stronger cravings the next day, less sensitivity to enough. That's enough. You stay and you get more indulged, and because of that, the system gets sluggish for the next 11 days. You've got to suffer with constipation, the movement of bowels moving slower, the whole thing, because you decided not to press the reset button. Second one, craving. The craving loop strengthens. That day when you feel like you just feel like you need to yum out the place, eat out the whole world, that's the day. So when you check, there's ways to see the position of the moon 3 days before it's full, 3 or 4 days before it's full, or 3 or 4 days before it disappears. If you see the moons like that and you're getting a tendency to just eat, whoa. If you started next day, fast. The fasting is even simple. I think today I've had water and 1 banana. That's it. So you can have fruit, you can have the key thing is to stay away from grains, meats, or anything that takes a lot of water in the system to break down and digest over the next 3 days. So that particular day, that is when this is when you see the tidal waves are kicking up, everything is a sign, oh, it's that day again. I need to regulate. So if you miss grabbing hold of those reins, the craving loop will get stronger. You just dive in more and more and more. So the craving loops get stronger. Akadashi interrupts the pattern cue. Craving, satisfaction, kills it. Missing it reinforces the opposite. The urge decides that doesn't remain limited to food. It generalizes it into more impulsive choices, less tolerance for discomfort, and more bargaining with boundaries. So you sacrifice. There's a saying in NLP, how you do anything affects how you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. It's gonna mirror itself right through the pattern. So if you fall for the craving, you're gonna fall for impulses You're going to fall for the impulsive mind, the reactive mind, rather than the intuitive mind. The intuitive mind can't come into play. Your real sense of being lives with intuition, insight, hindsight, foresight. If you're not in that space, you're just drenched in the impulsive mind, and you're drenched in fight or flight. And this is where the cravings are really screaming to pacify what the states of minds are screaming for, and you can never quench that thirst. You can never quench the thirst of things outside of water. So the nervous system regulation becomes harder. Fasting or by simplifying food, in other words, staying away from grains and all of that, fruits, nuts, and you slow. The more that you enjoy the process, it will become literally just water. And it's one of those things I really do. I kind of find the love for it. But anyway. When you eat normally, especially heavier foods, many people experience more restlessness or irritability, poor sleep quality, more emotional reactivity. This matters because healing requires a quieter baseline. Mental clarity drops. Ekadashi is traditionally used to reduce internal fog when missed. People often report more mental noise, weaker focus and follow-through, reduced capacity to reflect and self-observation. You can still function, but you lose sharpness. Discipline loses its rhythm. The practice creates a reliable structure. Simplify, reset, rebuild clearly. Missing it removes the checkpoint. You miss the pit stop. The risk is not just one day, it's for the whole part of that phase now. The lunar phase, if it's waxing or waning, you missed a day, you've got to suffer for the rest of that, like I said, 11 days before you come back to get 3 days relief, 13, 14, 15, you're on again. Healing takes longer. Healing work takes longer. Ekadashi supports purification in a practical sense. Less input, more processing, more recovery. When it is skipped repeatedly, the system stays in constant intake and deeper recalibration tends to move slower. So one line to anchor it, Ekadashi is a stability practice. It trains the body to lighten, the mind to quiet, and the will to lead. So, Ekadashi. Fasting on Ekadashi has been studied scientifically and is shown to have potential health benefits such as improving metabolic function, promoting cellular repair, and reducing inflammation throughout the body. By abstaining from certain foods on Ekadashi, individuals may give their digestive system a break, allowing it to reset and rejuvenate. Additionally, fasting on Ekadashi has been associated with increased mental clarity, focus, and overall well-being. This aligns with the spiritual intention of Ekadashi, which is involving purification of the mind and elevation of spiritual consciousness, aligning back and claiming the sense of divinity, resonating with it. People are scared of that word. They need to embrace it a little bit more, because that's all that you're made of. The next conversation I'm going to be having is going to be, I've got it planned in my head, components of the heart. I spoke of courage recently and its importance to understand how courage works and how you have to transform that energy to the heart, to heart consciousness, so heart consciousness can deal with it. And bravery comes from the heart. A lot of things that people overlook in the concept of how the energy of the heart works and empowers you to either be or not be. in general terms, when we talk of, even in Ayurveda or the common Western understanding of the heart, we've got 7 chakras. The heart is the central one, but there's 3 components to the heart. When you study the esoteric and the deeper understanding of the chakras of the heart, there's a lower heart chakra and a higher heart chakra, and the lower heart chakra that works with the solar plexus chakra is the one that makes you realize what willpower is consciously. It's not all just down to the Manipura chakra or the energy of Agni that brings it up into as raw consciousness. The heart doesn't understand it in its pure essence like that. It's just pure information that needs to be translated, computed, transferred to your conscious understanding of, do you feel empowered or do you feel afraid? That all happens in the heart. Or how you allow your heart to respond, how you train your heart to respond. Moreover, the practice of mindful eating, which is often emphasized in during Ekadashi, has been linked to improved digestion, reduced stress, and better overall health outcomes. Being mindful of what and how you eat will ultimately have a positive impact on our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So why fast on Ekadashi? That 11th day, that's the reset day. Ayurveda describes the toxins of the body as armor, which are created due to the residue of the digestive process. If these are not cleared regularly, they build up as armavisha, poison, and create a build-up, low-grade threat, build-up of dis-ease throughout the entire being. Hence, the origin of most diseases within the digestive tract. From the 11th day of the moon phase onwards to the 5th day after the full or new moon, the digestive process is slower than usual. In order to avoid complications, it is imperative to clear up the digestive tract of previous residues every 11th day of the moon cycle to prepare for the coming 10 days of sluggish digestion. This is a scientific fact, just watching how the body behaves. And you go, oh, if we emit foods and stuff and grains and stuff on that day, how does the body perform for the rest? It's not just the day it gets benefit. It actually regulates the system so it can sustain to the next one. To the next. So, we read that again so the penny drops. Hence, the origin of most disease is within the digestive tract. From the 11th day of the moon phase onward to the 5th day after the full or new moon, work it out, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, yeah? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 15 days every phase. 15 for new moon to full moon to new. It's 15 days. So from the 11th day, if you don't set that break all the way to the 5th day after the, so 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, that's 5 days of suffering. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more days of suffering. And then the 11th day is when you get a break. Ease up. That's quite deep. So in order to avoid complications, it is imperative to clear up the digestive tract of the previous residue every 11th day of the moon cycle to prepare for the coming 10 days of the sluggish digestive system. And if that's sluggish, and you're just chucking more, the toxins are building up, it's bleeding through the barriers, it's going through into the different systems till it finally comes out through the skin. it's affecting the mind, it's affecting all aspects of your process. So the human body, comprising of 70% water, is undeniably influenced by the celestial body, particularly the moon. As the moon pulls affects, as the moon's pull affects the tides, it also exerts a subtle yet potent sway over our physical and mental states. Just as the moon's influence on the body is undeniable, its impact on the mind is equally profound. Observing fasting on the 11th day after the new moon and the 11th day after the full moon, we can harmonize our energy and align with the cosmic rhythms, ensuring a state of balance and well-being for both mind and body. So leaving it with this, the most important thing to understand is that food is the most abusive anxiety drug. Eat, 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 eat. And fasting is the most forgotten cure. So look into this a little bit more, and just to throw a little bit more spice on it, exercise is the most underused antidepressant. Get exercising, it's important. Fasting, hydration, exercise. Again, these are some of the pillars that are really important to hold on to or adhere to in the concept of the champion program that I am now putting into practice for everyone. Like, understand how to build up yourself and stay on top of your game. So I'm glad I managed to just jump on, get that out live. I wanted to do this just today. It's such an important day. It's a Kaddishi today. I'm actually fasting, and it's a long time that this video was supposed to get done. So I now feel good that I've honored this. Hit the like and subscribe button for more further information that is coming out. I'm going to be doing minerals and vitamins for the body. I'll be bringing in Basil from Pempamsi to have a conversation about that. Really powerful conversation. I'm also going to be doing components of the heart. Like how it's Valentine's, we have to understand the components of the heart for ourselves. Like, how do we embrace and empower love for ourselves first before we run out there, but we're looking for love and we get into... Are we right-minded in being level with feeling the love for ourselves? Well, guess what? If you didn't do a Kaddishi, you're not going to. So don't get into the habit of that one little correction of inner being, because it is affecting your mind and you don't know it. It's affecting your rhythm and you don't know it. Clean that little bit up and feel that breath of sense of being. And you go, yeah, you know what? Thanks, Brother Tarun, you showed me something there. I feel alive again. I feel engaged. I feel I can love this process. I feel that I love me. I love me. I love being me. I love engaging. I've now re-established those four pillars. I now feel heroic. I now feel a sense of bliss. I feel a sense of commitment to connectivity in the process of harmony, not bitterness, not anger. So, beautiful souls, I'm going to leave it right there because I know it's getting late. Stay on top of this game. Stay bold, stay beautiful, and stay on the best side of being you. And we leave it there. Let's see if we can get this thing to work. This is what happens when you do live. Ciao for now.